Have you ever thought that if you could only be more disciplined, you could have everything you want? A body that looks great and moves pain-free, a higher paying job, or maybe just the feeling of crawling into bed on time for once, deeply satisfied with what you've accomplished. People look at me, how I train, and what I share about my nutrition online, and they ask how they, too, can develop more discipline in these areas. So let's dive into it. I'll start on Monday. Next Monday. Some people think becoming disciplined is impossible. If you aren't born with that drive, you can't just turn into Jocko Willink overnight. Especially if you've tried to start on Monday over and over, or you did start and you fell off the wagon by the end of the week. Let's get one thing out of the way. Discipline isn't about force. You might think if you just force yourself to wake up at 4 a.m. and start training day after day, you become more disciplined over time. But there's more to it than that, and it can actually backfire. Having been a student in this area for a long time, I've learned that developing more discipline is a skill that you can become better at over time, especially when you understand why it works or doesn't and what goes into the equation. I learned this from Stephen Bartlett, and here is a tried and true discipline equation. The importance of a goal, which is subjective, plus the psychological joy of pursuing the goal, minus the friction of performing tasks associated with the goal, equals your discipline equation. In other words, generating more discipline is a combination of 3 factors. Knowing them and how to manipulate them is key to becoming more disciplined as a person. And in turn, we change the perception of ourselves. The importance of a goal. Let's start there. This is your why. How can you raise the importance of a goal? You can make it feel more meaningful by connecting it to a deeper reason inside of you. People often state that when they have their first child, they make an incredible discipline transformation. I stopped smoking the day my child arrived in my life. Framing the importance around the stakes and consequences of not being disciplined is a powerful tool as well. If I don't stop smoking, I could be causing lung damage in my own child. The joy in the pursuit. This is why the best diet is the one you feel good about following. Let's say you love meat, but you try following a vegan diet. Regardless of how good it may be for you, it's going to be significantly harder than a diet that incorporates meat, the food you love. You've taken the joy out of eating in pursuit of a goal, and therefore you've added 0 to the psychological joy of this pursuit. And lastly, the friction to perform. People ask me why I have so many workout tools at my house if I also have a fully stocked gym that I can go to anytime. The answer is friction. Sure, I could pack up my things and drive 15 to 20 minutes to the gym and back to get in a great workout. But that level of friction can sometimes feel extremely high. Now, stepping out into my garage in those instances reduces that friction tremendously. Or how about when I really need a change of scenery and I want to be around people? Then the gym is ideal and breaks the friction of the garage workout. Not everyone can build 5 different outlets for fitness, but you can begin to look at where friction is showing up for you and take steps to remove those barriers.
Did you hear about the Rice Krispie Treat viral pre-workout meal? People were going and buying Rice Krispie Treats off the shelves, eating them before their training, and getting epic pumps. Here's the science. Rice Krispie Treats have sugar in them and they have sodium in them. And those 2 things can definitely improve your performance when you're in the gym. But if you want to get those same results with cleaner ingredients that are backed by science, here you go. Start with a piece of fruit and maybe add some honey, and that's going to give you the sugars that you need to get through your training. Instead of just adding some random amount of salt, go with a science-backed electrolyte formulation from LMNT, which has got sodium, potassium, and magnesium that are going to support hydration and performance throughout your training. I like to mix a banana with a serving of LMNT raspberry salt. Together, I'm going to get an epic pump. I'm going to stay focused, and my performance is going to drive me all the way through to the end of my training session.
I've been a student of discipline for much of my life. I've investigated both nutrition and training discipline and how to optimize this equation for myself and others for years. Every program I write or nutrition tip that I give has the discipline equation at the center. Does the way I talk about nutrition or training elevate the importance of the goal for others and myself? Am I addressing the reasons why people actually want to do these things in the first place? Do my fitness and nutrition approaches make the process more enjoyable? My functional bodybuilding workouts are designed to be enjoyable while also having enough science to back them up. But I'll trade a little science for fun so that you find joy in the pursuit of fitness and eating, and therefore have better discipline. Are the programs and nutrition guidance that I put out too difficult to follow? Is the program too complex? And does it take too many minutes to set up and break down? Is the recipe for Philly protein pancakes too hard to execute on time and time again? If I add too much friction, then even an enjoyable workout program and recipe isn't going to work. These are just a few examples of how our approaches to purpose, joy, and friction can create the conditions for success for ourselves and for others. Here's a fact. It is more socially acceptable to be our own biggest critic than our own biggest cheerleader. Therefore, the commitments that we keep to ourselves are the ones that matter the most. They have the power to shape our view of ourselves more than the commitments we keep to others. And the way that we view and label ourselves is powerful. Discipline is the act of keeping commitments to yourself. This seems simple, but it is massively important. When nobody is watching, we often think the stakes are very low. We think that nobody is going to know that we chose to act against our stated goal. We think that nobody is going to know that we didn't act out our self-discipline. In reality, the stakes are at their highest when nobody is watching. The choices we make when the lights are off and nobody is around are the ones that shape our self-view dramatically. Mark Manson was quoted on the Modern Wisdom podcast as saying, "The person you have to listen to the most in life is yourself. Try not to lose their respect." The more you keep commitments to yourself, the greater your self-respect becomes. Anyone can become a disciplined person if you know how to manipulate the equation in your favor. Becoming disciplined is a daily, lifelong pursuit. I hope today's tips help you become more disciplined today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life.